What's up guys, since Corey Barlog explained the higher power, we've put on videos explaining it for you guys and how it could affect Kratos. Then we talked about how it can affect Tyr. The comments there were great for discussion. I then realized there are people who believe Tyr may still be alive. So you can call this part 3 to the string of videos, even though you don't really need to see the other videos to understand this one. But still, I recommend you watch them just to have full context on what's going on. So now that I realize people believe Tyr may still be alive, I put out a poll on the channel to get a better understanding what people are thinking, and here are the results. At first, it started going towards dead. Then it started going towards alive, and at the end of the voting, 600 votes later, it was a 50-50 split. Definitely the most divided poll I've ever had on this channel. This video, I want to talk about both sides, explaining why people believe he is alive, why people believe he's dead, then give my own theory I think you guys will love if Tyr is alive. I think that you guys will like it because no one has really talked about it yet. But let's get right into it. Now, of course, people believe he's dead for obvious reasons. Many times in game, Mimir tells us he is dead. This happens several times in the game, even telling us he was killed by Thor and Odin for aiding the giants. Kratos and Atreus spent the time going through puzzles and blocks Tyr set up to try and reach the land of the giants. It was Tyrs' last legacy standing up to Odin because he believed the king was morally wrong for slaughtering all the giants. For that, he was killed. Also, there is an image of Odin and Thor standing over Tyr's body, insinuating that Tyr had been tortured and eventually killed by them. One comment on the poll said, Brock mentioned Tyr being dead, but he didn't want to talk about it because it bothered/saddened him. Usually when certain heroes die, their world/foundation will go to ruin until someone as righteous as them takes their place. The point is, all the characters believe Tyr is dead. Mimir, the smartest man alive, believes Tyr is dead. It's why I personally believe he's dead, but let's move over to the other side, the possibility of him being alive. First off, I want to get the theory out the way of Kratos being Tyr, because most of the comments were talking about Kratos being Tyr. Now, I'm gonna tackle this theory at some point. I just have to find something to bring new to the conversation because this theory is very widespread. A lot of people have talked about it, and if I'm gonna talk about it, I need to bring something new, to talk about something that nobody has talked about before. So just give me some time to tackle this theory. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the person who pretty much inspired this video. He wrote a different interpretation of the image of Odin and Thor on top of Tyr's body. He believes this image is implying that Tyr was chained up and he is still being held prisoner. He mentions that Odin wouldn't gain anything if he killed Tyr, which is actually true. Some other comments also said if Mimir was being held captive, then surely Tyr wouldn't be killed as well. Mimir was held captive for questioning Odin's methods. I thought about it and I came to the realization that Odin considered it an act of betrayal. So if he considered Mimir a traitor for simply disagreeing, banished and cursed Freya, who he also considered a traitor, then an actual traitor like Tyr would not be killed off. Then I thought, why would Odin keep them alive? And this is where the discussion turns into a theory. There must be a reason as to why Odin keeps his traitors around. Why someone will go so far as to order the death of all the giants, keep his enemies or people he considers his enemies alive. Odin is a complicated fellow. He wants desperately to stop Ragnarok, yet does things to make the prophecy become more true, such as releasing Skull and Hati to chase the sun and the moon, even though if they catch the sun and the moon, Ragnarok will begin.
But Ragnarok is supposed to be Odin's doom, isn't it? Why would he set the wolves loose if it fulfills the prophecy?
Precisely the question, lad. It's always about control. The wolves determine when Ragnarok begins, and now he controls the wolves. A battle fought on his timetable is a battle he better stands to win.
Odin's survival hinges on Ragnarok not starting. There are two reasons I can think of why he lets his enemies go free. I think for the same reason he let Skull and Hati go free is for control. Perhaps in his twisted mind, he wants control over Freya, Mimir, and Tyr. But why? At first it doesn't make any sense.
They're going to Jotunheim before we do.
Odin is extremely clever, you see. Nearly as clever as he thinks he is. And he's a collector of prophecies. If it's about the future, he adds it to his collection. Helps him style himself as all-seeing and all-knowing. But of course, the idea is control. Control of the future, control of his fate. He'd control every realm of every land in every world if he could.
It seems like he wants control just for the sake of having control. But maybe he knows something we all don't. Odin is a strong believer fate can be changed. In the words of Kratos, nothing that is written can be unwritten, which Mimir says is Odin's exact thoughts. Even though literal proof of Ragnarok is in Odin's face, being the world serpent's sudden appearance, he still believes it can change. Keeping these players in the game of Ragnarok around may somehow lead to interrupting the fated day. He knows Kratos and Atreus will reach Jotun. He could also know by keeping around Freya, Mimir, and Tyr that something can be changed. Or maybe his reason may be a bit more noble. The second reason I can think of is maybe he wants them around because he actually cares a great deal for his fellow gods and bonds with other people who were close to him and fighting for their own survival. No one knows what happens to Mimir come Ragnarok, but Freya and Tyr both die in Ragnarok. Their fates are tied to Ragnarok just as much as Odin's is. Yes, Odin is a vicious psychopath who knows too much, but he might be a vicious psychopath with a heart of gold for his fellow Asier gods and close companions. He will stop Ragnarok no matter what, casting these close companions aside. His wife Freya, his close advisor Mimir, and his ally in combat Tyr. The death of an entire race. Odin has given up so much for his impossible quest to stop Ragnarok, to stop his companions from dying, even if it means torturing and imprisoning them, banishing and cursing them, and hiding them from the rest of the world. It may seem cruel, and well, it is, but Odin is a madman, someone who believes himself superior. God complex is an understatement, but if he kills all those who oppose him, then he's no better than Ragnarok itself. Of course, this theory lives and dies on Tyr being alive. If he is alive, my thoughts on Odin are true. If he's dead, it's false, and the chance of his corruption becomes even more real. What do you guys think in the comment section down below? Do you think Tyr's alive? Do you think he's dead? What are your thoughts on my theory as well? I'm putting out new content on the channel, so definitely check out the Critical Look series I'm doing. I'm gonna be out here. Thank you guys for listening, and don't forget to stab that subscribe button. Deuces.